Thanks for staying with us on Point. Ster Kinekor's Business Rescue Practitioner has announced that the business rescue plan for the cinema company has been approved by creditors and shareholders. Partner at EY Parthenon and Business Rescue Practitioner for Ster Kinekor, Stefan Smyth, joins me now. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. Just take us back in time and explain why Ster Kinekor was placed in business rescue in the first place.
Sure. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Maybe just to take you through the business rescue from the start to the news that we've got now. In particular, it was heavily hit through the COVID period, suffering from a hard lockdown in the first period of 2020. So the woes really started with that, which compounded by challenges in other jurisdictions, particularly in the US and the UK, where even though there was good content available as the lockdown was starting to ease, unfortunately it wouldn't be released to other jurisdictions such as South Africa until such time as the premieres had taken place in New York and London. So we went through a significantly difficult period where the business went from having little or no debt on the balance sheet to then taking on a lot of debt, really just to fund the costs that were incurred keeping the business afloat during the 5 months of hard lockdown.
Mm-hmm. Just talk to me about what the actual plan was and what's been approved.
Sure. Ostensibly, the plan is around a new investment from Blantyre Capital, an outfit from the UK, and also a corresponding fund in South Africa, Greenpoint Capital. They're injecting 250 million of new money to recapitalize the business, fund the expansion, and get the business back to where it's always been, which is a darling of the South African infrastructure with having been around for some 50 plus years.
Mm-hmm. So an overwhelming number of creditors and shareholders opted for the plan. What's next, and what financial position will the cinema company be in after that?
Yes, it was overwhelming, the support that we received yesterday. And I think against the backdrop of 800 jobs that were at risk, we're hugely indebted to everybody that voted in favour of the plan. Next steps now would be to seek the necessary approvals, regulatory or otherwise, and start implementing the transaction. So we really just need to put the legal agreements in place to affect the deal that was presented to creditors yesterday.
Mm-hmm. What was the option if creditors and shareholders didn't vote for the plan?
Well, ultimately, that's the challenge within business rescue is it's a last chance saloon before liquidation. And obviously that is in a business like Ster Kinekor, where there aren't a huge amount of assets owned, that would have resulted in appalling returns for creditors. And I think from an ongoing trading perspective, all the suppliers that have stood by us, particularly landlords that were hugely flexible during the business rescue period, have allowed us to get through that period and avoid a liquidation.
Mm-hmm. You spoke about the around 800 employees of the company. What does that mean for them now that the plan has been approved but it's not right at the final stages of it? What does it mean for them?
I think from my perspective, I'm hugely encouraged that we can now give them some extra certainty where a substantial period of uncertainty has existed around the continuation of Ster Kinekor. For many of them, they've made huge sacrifices personally. The financial consequences of the lockdown, some surviving only on TERS payments at the beginning of those periods, and major salary sacrifices from the management team has meant that we've stayed afloat. So whilst we just need to get across the line, I think you make a good point that we're not there yet. It's a massive milestone in terms of the sentiment and the voting, which is the first part of the puzzle. So our aim is really just to conclude things and give them the requisite certainty, take the business out of business rescue and let it go back to its former glory.
Stefan Smyth, a partner at EY Parthenon and Business Rescue Practitioner for Ster Kinekor, joining me now talking about that business rescue plan that has been approved, and I'm sure we'll get an update on that process as it continues. Thanks so much for your time.
No, thank you.